Hello everyone, this is ICBs here, and today we're diving into something that Marvel fans definitely have some opinions on, and that is nostalgia. Specifically, why it hit so hard on Spider-Man No Way Home, and why it kind of just fizzled on in Multiverse of Madness. On paper, both movies should have delivered the same punch. Old faces, fan favorite characters, callbacks, and whatnot, and yet only one of them left the theater buzzing with applause, and while the other one left more like a checklist of cameos. So, what happened here? Let's start with No Way Home. Marvel brought back Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, not just as flashy surprises but as full on characters with emotional arcs, dialogue, chemistry, and weight in the story. They didn't just swing in, wink at the audience, and just disappeared. They mattered. Doc Ock and Green Goblin weren't just nostalgia bait either. William Dafoe put in one of his best performances as Norman Osborn. These characters had impact. They shaped the story. They challenged Tom Holland's Peter, and they fit into the plot like puzzle pieces that had been missing the whole time. The nostalgia just wasn't about seeing familiar faces, it was about doing something fun with them, giving them relevance, emotional payoff, closure. It felt earned. Now, let's look at Multiverse of Madness. Charles Xavier shows up, Reed Richard, Captain Carter, Black Bolt, even the new version of Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel. Sounds incredible, right? Yeah, on paper. And then they all just kind of die in 5 minutes. 5 goddamn minutes. There's no weight to their presence, no emotional core. They weren't just characters, they were just props. Background decorations dressed in familiar costume tossed in to get fans to grasp during the trailer, then they were tossed out once the marketing had done its job. It wasn't nostalgia, it was just pure bait. And the worst part, the deaths didn't even mean anything. No mourning, no consequences, just shock for the sake of shock. The Illuminati could have been anyone. They could have been the actual cardboard cutouts, and it wouldn't have changed the story. Here's the thing, if Marvel keeps leaning into this cameo heavy approach, Avengers Secret War or Doomsday, whatever name you settle on, could be a mess. People want characters, not collectibles. Throwing dozens of alternative versions of the past heroes into a film only works if they have something to do. If you're going to bring back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, you better give him something more than a punchline. If somehow they decided to resurrect Tony Stark from Earth 812 or whatever, it better be fucking meaningful, not just a glorified screensaver for fans to cheer on. Nostalgia isn't just about references, it's about emotional payoff, story integration, giving us a reason to care about beyond just saying, oh, I recognize that guy from that one other movie I watched. And this brings us to the looming behemoth in Avengers Doomsday, and they have a massive cast going for them. Even more massive, we're talking dozens if not hundreds of characters from across the multiverse. Everyone from Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to old X-Men actors to legacy MCU characters to maybe even someone's grandma who had a speaking role in Iron Man 2. And honestly, that's where the red flag starts waving. Because if Multiverse of Madness is any indication of where this is headed, we might be looking at another festival of glorified cameos. A checklist of who shows up, gets like 2 lines and then vanishes or dies or to make room for the next shiny face. Will this character actually matter to the overall story, or are we just building a cinematic collage for fans to point at and say, look, that's one guy from that one thing? Compare that to No Way Home, where the returning Spider-Man weren't just cameos, they had arcs, they had depth, they mentored Tom Holland's Peter, they changed the outcome of the film. I'd love to believe that Marvel learned from that. But with how crowded their upcoming slate looks for Avengers Doomsday, I'm not exactly holding my breath. I am curious though, if Doomsday becomes just another multiverse of, hey look, it's that guy, then we're in for a very, very empty movie, and that would be a massive waste of potential. But hey, that's just how I see things. What about you? Did Multiverse of Madness do anything for you? Or were you just left wondering why everyone died like they were in a horror movie? What do you think about Secret Wars or Avengers Doomsday? And do you think that Avengers Doomsday will learn anything from this or just, double down? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, it's time for a goodbye.